Reincarnation, the spiral staircase. Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda. In the book of Revelation, chapter 3, Jesus Christ tells us, "Him that overcometh will I make a pillar in the temple of my God, and he shall go no more out." There is a difference between church dogmas, which are based on reasoned deductions from scriptural statements, and the pronouncements of wisdom, which are based on the inner realization of scriptural truths. Reason, like a train, can only follow already existing tracks of human experience. Human memory, being short, is seldom able to cross back over the threshold of a person's present existence. Biblical references to previous lifetimes on earth are overlooked in the deductive process, and we find them therefore excluded from the body of official dogma. Nevertheless, such references exist. The Bible itself presents them, as does Jesus in this passage, not as abstract teaching, but as a direct personal perception of truth. In the same way, Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita silences Arjuna's reasonable doubts on the subject not by reasoned argument, but by the frank statement contained in the 4th chapter of this great scripture. "Arjuna, you and I have passed through many births. I know all of them. Though you, O chastier of foes, recall them not. Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind." Reincarnation at the beginning is frightful. Why do we have to come back time and time again? We have done this, we have done that, and we have to continue. It's not easy to understand. Thinking that 1 and 1 plus 1 is 2. There are things that we don't really understand with our mind, and the important things really cannot be understood by the mind. We need to disconnect our mind and connect our heart. I remember the first time I came to Ananda, and I met Swami Kriyananda, the founder of Ananda. When I saw him, he said, "Welcome." At that moment, I didn't really understand much. I saw this person with these deep, infinite eyes that was telling me, "Welcome," like if he was my friend. And I started to cry. And I couldn't be there. I just had to go away. I went back to Venice. This was more than 30 years ago. And after a week I came back. I really cried the whole trip back home. I had no more tears. And there I understood that there are not only human tears, but there are divine tears. When you cry for something that elevates you, these are blessings from heaven. And many times we cry, we have tears for something beautiful, something that nurtures us. When I came back, I saw Swami again, and he said, "Where were you? I haven't seen you for a whole week." And I said, "Swami, I need to tell you I had to go home because I couldn't stay here. couldn't stand being here. And Swami said, you know, these things happen when you meet old friends. And inside I said, oh wow, I've met him once, only once. And then I meditated on this for a long time. And more or less 7 or 8 years after that, I already was living in the village. Obviously that meeting with him had transformed my whole life. And when I was there, I invited Swami for lunch in a small restaurant in Nevada City. And when we were talking about spiritual things, I said, Swami, how long have we met? And his answer was, a lot of many, for a long time. He didn't say anything else, but I understood that this deep friendship could not have started just from one moment that you meet someone and that person changes your life. Obviously, there was something that was much deeper. At that point I was interiorized when he said that, and Swami was silent for some time, and then he said, it's true that there are some jokes in Italy on policemen. And I said, yes, I know one, and I'm going to tell it now. The boss of this policeman tells his can you check if I can't translate it? I'm sorry. He's talking too fast. And Swami was laughing and laughing. And this is also divine friendship, to laugh together. It's a deep friendship that goes further than just the immediate experience. They are links that when they arrive to your life, they cannot leave you. But they go on life after life, and these things inside you, you remember them because they gave you form, they helped you build what you are. And these are the bricks of your spiritual growth and will never leave you. Many things will leave from one life to the next, but those things stay. And many times we forget to see the things that last. Oh, you many times see those things that come and go. This happens to everyone. It's human. We just came back from the Holy Land, and some days ago we were in Israel. It was a deep experience. You know, when you go to sacred places like the Holy Land, the first apostles of Jesus wrote their memories, and they wrote them when they were with their master Jesus, and they wrote them for our official. Some are not, some have been lost. But when you are in those places, there is a fifth scripture that's the one that we live, the experience that we have in these places. That's our testimony of what we have absorbed, what we have perceived in that place. I am sure that I was there for many times. Who knows how many? But I feel that my life And I think that the life of many people that love Jesus have been transformed because we were there and this special man passed close to us. It could be that we were not even attracted to him, but the air that this person left while he walked close to us were seeds that 2,000 years later starts to grow. This time when I was in the desert, I could feel the smell of the hot rocks was familiar to me. The breeze of the desert was familiar to me. And I understood that I had already been there. And only to walk in these places where the feet of my old reincarnation had walked had a meaning for me. In this Evangelo, I wrote things that are very personal, but some I can share. When we were going around the different places, many places where Jesus had been and that he had touched, we were where there was a prison. Now there is a church called St. Peter in Gallicum. It's when St. Peter negated Jesus for 3 times, and they have constructed a church there, and there are some stairs that take from Gethsemane to enter Jerusalem, and there are some grouts, and they say that Jesus had been there, and when we went in there, Duty started to sing a beautiful song, and in that moment I saw Jesus had been put into that prison. But I'm sure he did not lament himself, not even 1 second. He closed his eyes, went into deep meditation, went into samadhi, and asked for the power to be able to take forward this mission. And I'm sure the strength that he needed, he had. And the next day he was taken away. And in the 5th station there was Simon. But when I was there, who has been to Jerusalem, in the 5th station, and there is a wall of a house, and there is a rock, and it is said that falling the 3rd time, he had touched there. So many people put their hand there. And while I was telling the story of Simon, the story is that a person that was passing by arrived, and a Roman soldier took him and said, "You take the cross for Jesus, because he can't do it anymore." And he put this cross on his back, and he started to walk. But before putting it on his shoulder, what happened between him and Jesus? And these things came to me. I don't know if I was there or it was just a fantasy, but I saw there was like a moment of eye connection between these 2 great souls. Simon didn't pass there by chance. Probably it was the only reason he had incarnated, just to be able to help Jesus to take the weight of the cross. And I saw that he put the cross on his back, and Jesus was looking at him. He went up until the end, because Jesus had already fallen and he couldn't take that cross anymore. He put the cross on the floor. They took Jesus, they undressed him, and they nailed him. Without a word, without any lament, they put up the cross, and Simon was underneath, that was looking at him. And Jesus said, Father, forgive them because they don't know what they're doing. The greatness of this man that was crucified. In that moment, he changed the history of humanity. Everything happened before or after Christ. This man that only lived 33 years and that dedicated the last years to bring forward his mission really transformed humanity. Everything happened before or after. That deep grove where all of us will fall into is self-realization. He gave us the teachings of how to self-realize ourselves. 2,000 years after, we're here to follow his teachings. And great masters come to renovate these incredible teachings day after day. Who knows? Could be that many of us were in Jerusalem when that man passed. And he said, come. When there were 5,000 people eating bread and fish with him, could be that someone of those 5,000 are here today. We cannot know, but it's beautiful to think that's how it was. It gives us a great stimulates us, our spiritual life, because it could be that we started our path with the encounter of this great man. Today is the festivity of the King Jesus, the King of Kings, because there is no one on this earth that after 2,000 years, millions and millions follow. There is a wise outside of a city, and a man comes and asks to this wise man out of the town, how are the people in this town? And the wise man says, how were the people in the town where you were before? And he said, oh, they were not nice, they were angry, they were always fighting for everything. They were only interested in the money and power and fame. And the wise man said, the people in this town are exactly like that. It's not a place for you. And he leaves. And another man comes into the town and asks him, to the wise man, how are the people in this town? And the wise man says, how are the people in the town you were leaving, you have left before? And he answers, oh, they were wonderful, good, generous, they would help you. And I had to leave because there was no work there. I hope to find in this town work so I can sustain my family and my friends. And the wise man says, welcome, this is the right place for you, because people are exactly like the ones you have left. And someone that was close to this wise man and that had listened to these two conversations says, excuse me, what? You have said something totally different to two people. You have answered in an opposite way to each one. Why have you done that? And his answer was, you see, when you are good inside, you will see goodness everywhere. And if you're not, you will find bad things everywhere. So I have given two different answers because they were two different people. And they would have never found what they were searching for the way they were coming to this door. This is a metaphor for our future life or for our past life. If we are with good people, nice, gentle people that love us, is because we are like that person that had lived with good people. And he loves good people. If we find ourselves with different, completely people that are closed and cold is because for many lives we have lived in a different way. So now we today can determine what will be our next incarnation. How do we want to live it? We want to live it building our future life with solid bricks that really nurture us, true things, or of things that are ephemerous and that fly away. Jesus and the Masters came to us to tell us this. Change today, because from today you can really build your destiny and your future. Every life can be transformed in a brief moment if you enter in tune with their magnetism and vibration, and you all can write your fifth Evangelo. Write it in your heart, and that scripture will follow you forever until you will be free. Have a good Sunday.
Gitanjali.